Speaking of Punk, CM Punk versus Kojima was announced for Forbidden Door instead of Punk versus Kenta. And this is interesting because we had heard 2 weeks ago that Punk versus Kenta was likely. Let's just say likely. And then I think Sean Ross Sapp I think it was Sapp, put it out on Fightful Select that it was not only likely that it was happening, and then the whole thing fell through. And then Punk sent his media surrogates. He's got some friends in the media, and sent them out to convince everyone that he was on board the whole time, and that it was Kenta who didn't want the match. JD, what do you think about that?
I think Punk knows how to work the media.
Yeah,
I think he's really
yeah,
good at it.
yeah,
That being said, we don't mean like when you're doing a show like Forbidden Door, there's so much politics that has to go involved, right? And when you're dealing with
yeah.
two people who famously don't like each other very much, I think in Tony Khan's mind, it's a good match. CM Punk versus Kenta, wrestling fans will be into it. You really think Kenta wanted to do a JOB to CM Punk?
No, nope.
Do you really think CM Punk wanted to do a JOB to Kenta? Would it make any sense? Like, do you think Kenta and CM Punk in 2023 can have a good match?
See, Kenta didn't have a ton of good matches these days. He had a
No.
really good one with Alexander and with Eddie Edwards this year. But man, it takes guys like that are willing to go all out to have a really good match with Kenta. You got to bring that out of Kenta.
Yeah, and because we see a lot more Kenta's a character these days. Like when we think
Yeah.
of Kenta, we think of the Noah guy from 2010, right? You think of
Mhm.
that guy. That ain't him anymore, man.
No,
Like, and I
too
think
many injuries.
and from what we heard, Punk thought the same thing. And quite frankly, we don't know what Punk is in this case. But you know who's a pretty good matchup for him? Satoshi Kojima, a guy who gets
Yeah.
by on a lot of, who's really good in his 50s, but who kind of like Minoru Suzuki has
Mhm.
figured out a way to have a low impact, really good match that people eat up, right?
Yeah. And I see that some people are disappointed in the Kojima match, and I get it because Kojima was never popular in the States, right? He never really crossed over and became a star here, not in the way that Okada, Tanahashi, Naito,
Different era.
and different era. But Minoru Suzuki is definitely popular here in the States because of his last few years in New Japan, when New Japan
Mhm.
really started to make its mark in the United States. So I understand why people are a little bit disappointed in Kojima. But here's what I'm going to say to that. CM Punk is AEW's top star. Should he have had a bigger New Japan star? Probably, but I'm not that worried about it because guess what the main event is? It's
Brian
Brian
Danielson and
fucking
Okada.
Danielson versus Okada. Guess what the co-main event is? Will Ospreay and Kenny fucking Omega. Everything else doesn't matter, right? If you want, we're gonna have a Forbidden Door next year. You want to do Punk versus Okada next year? Let's do it. But we already have a show set. I don't with those top two matches. Look, everybody's bitching about Jungle Boy and Sonata. Who cares about Jungle Boy and Sonata? Just skip
I
the match.
don't.
I'm going to. Right? I can't watch live because of the time that it comes on. So when I watch it, I'm gonna skip the match because I don't care about it. But I'm not mad that it's existing because guess what? The main event and the co-main event are so fucking beyond awesome. That's all you really need. Everything else can just be mixed tag matches. I don't care.
So kind of what it was last year. Here's the truth.
Yeah.
We didn't think CM Punk was going to be on this show anyway. So whatever
Right.
he does is just gravy because it's not selling the show. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was just announced in a graphic. It doesn't matter if it's a great match. It's an undercard match. It really doesn't matter. He's working with Kojima, and I love Satoshi Kojima.
Me too.
Big
Yeah.
fan of Satoshi Kojima. But we all know what it's going to be. Punk's going to take some machine gun chops. There are going to be some lariats, right? At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, Punk's going over. Kojima knows his role. Kojima spent most of his time in All Japan and Noah lately,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's fine. This is not a drawing match on the show.
No. And
Who
look, we gotta
cares?
cut TK some slack. He was trying to make the Kenta match. And while he was trying to make the Kenta match, he made all these other matches, right?
Mhm.
All these other awesome matches that he made. Okay, Sonata, Jungle Boy aside, that one sucks. But every other match, pretty cool, right? Would I rather see CM Punk versus Tanahashi than MJF versus Tanahashi? Yes, I personally would. I think that was a bigger match than MJF versus Tanahashi, despite the fact that MJF has the title. But that match was already made, and they were trying to make the Kenta match because you had the GTS versus GTS. That's a big story, right? But the match didn't get made. So you throw in Kojima. Kojima's awesome, right? He's not a big star, but he's awesome. But guess what? It doesn't matter because the show is going to be awesome no matter what. So why are everybody complaining?
You know who's going to cheer for Kojima? The AEW audience who knows who
Yeah.
he is. He's been on the show before. He fought Moxley 2 years ago and All Out, right? Like, we know these kids, like, we know this guy. He's got accrued interest with the company. It just doesn't matter. Like, this idea that every match on the show needs to be built up and needs to have an in-depth story is stupid. It don't. Undercard matches don't matter. Like, they don't matter. The draw is going to be Okada and Danielson and Ospreay and Omega. That's it. That's what we need. That's the show. Everything else is just like cranberry sauce.
Well, and that's what we got last year. And last year was the show of the year.
Yes,
right?
it was.
And this one on paper blows that one away.
Yes, it does.
I don't even think it's close.
No, I agree. I got to go to Dynamite last night. Really good taping. I enjoyed it a lot. And like, I keep looking at the Morgan again, like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, I'll ruin it. Like, we're going to get Filthy Tom and Adam Cole. That's going to be good. Like, I don't care. Spoiler, who cares? Like, it's going to be a really good show. Like, I get every time AEW has a pay-per-view, every cycle we get wrapped up in this, oh my God, they didn't develop the undercard. Who cares? If the main event is good, we're going to go. Now, for the last show, that was a problem because the build for the main event kind of sucked. Fortunately, the real main event kind of saved the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
The BCC elite stuff was good. World title, not so good. And like we joke about Sonata and Jungle Boy, my opinion, it's the same guy. It's the same guy. You can tell me that Sonata's turned a corner in New Japan. I'm going to look at like the Dominion number and I'm going to say it sold 7,000 tickets. Before the pandemic with Okada, they sold 12. Same arena. That's all I got to say on that. Like they're trying something with Sonata. I respect it, but he's like I said, he's not lighting the world on fire and he doesn't matter in the States. So you put him with a guy who's very similar, really good in the ring, not a lot of charisma. Or Jack Perry, right? Will the match be good? Yeah, the match is coming pretty good, but it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I think last week I said it was probably the worst IWGP title match in history as far as like of importance. But
no, Evil had Evil's had that title.
Joe then responded that Evil was the champion for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I was correct."
He's right. He's right. Evil.
Yeah, I get into like recency bias sometimes, but
we all do.
But
we're all guilty.
Yeah,